Okay, good evening, colleagues, and welcome to the 50th edition of tonight's Tourism Online Forum series in June 2025. And we are very honored to have you joining us for tonight's session, which is also an honor to invite Professor Zhang Chaozhi for our online tourism forum hosted by the Center for Advanced Tourism Research at Hokkaido University. And this is your host, Mo. And for tonight's session, we will have Professor Zhang Chaozhi's topic about knowledge transfer and heritage tourism community development. I think this is a very important topic for our faculty member as well as industry stakeholders in Japan. So let me introduce Professor Zhang. And Dr. Zhang Chaozhi is a distinguished professor of heritage tourism at Fudan University. I think a lot of Chinese student here today definitely knows who Professor Zhang is. And before he was working in the Sun Yat-sen University, and his research interests including heritage tourism and sustainable destination development. And also please note that this online lecture will be recorded and uploaded to our online YouTube channel of CAT. Then we will receive more audience from who cannot join in tonight. And so let's invite Dr. Zhang to share his lecture. And please leave your comment and question in the later part or leaving in the Q&A box below. And we also offer the English subtitle captions function. If you want to use this function, you just need to open it. Okay, 张老师, now the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your invitation. And I'm very delighted to have the chance to share some of my research and the recent practice in China with the colleagues in Japan, and which is uh, my start place of my research, because more than 20 it's I think it's around the 2003, year 2003. When I was a PhD student, I conducted my field research in Japan. I walking around Japan for all the World Heritage sites to work with Yamanura. So I think that right now he is the director of this research center.
Yes.
So I'm very happy to be a part of this knowledge sharing presentation today. So my talk today is about knowledge transfer or knowledge spillover. Usually, when we talking about knowledge transfer, it means that people will share the knowledge to another people directly. But when we talk about knowledge spillover, I mean that we share our knowledge to somebody else without uh, clear direction. For example, I just share my knowledge on the video, but I don't know who will be benefited from this knowledge. So, what is relationship with heritage tourism and community development? So today I want to just share some stories and my research in China. And my presentation will include three parts. The first part will is about the zoning policy in nature reserves and heritage tourism. And the second part will be about zoning policy and the knowledge spillover and tourism communities. So because we are talking about the tourism community in heritage sites, so we should understand the zoning policy a little bit. There are a lot of paper and a regulation in IUCN or some other government documents about how to uh, zone the nature reserve areas, because zoning policy is a kind of policy tools for the government to control the accessibility of the reserve areas and also control the activities of the people there. So you can see this is usually called the core conservation zone and a wildlife zone, intensive use zone, intensive use enclaves or corridors, and also development of enclaves or corridors. So there are different kinds of labels, but no matter what's the label, usually we can call it this a three zone. The first is a core zone. You can see like this. This is a core zone. The people, this is the core area. Oh, sorry, what's wrong with the? Okay, what's wrong? This is the core area for protection, and here is a buffer zone. This is the place where between the place that people can use it freely and between those people strictly conserved. And this experimental zone, this outermost area that people can use here for tourism and for human activities. Usually in the core zone, nobody can enter into these places. No human access, no logging, no hunting, no infrastructure, no tourism, or even grazing like this. And the buffer zone usually can limited destructive scientific research and some kind of small scale tourism. But this is just ideally kind of a plan for the nature reserve area. But actually, when it put into practice, it will be much more complicated than this map. For example, this is a map of a national park. You can see maybe this is a core area, this is a core area, and you can see different color, maybe different a place that can control the intensive of the people can use. You can see in different colors, actually totally different. And also you can this is a map of Zhangjiajie Wulingyuan. You can see for the green color is the core area. It means that no people can access to this place. And this is the buffer zone, and this is development zone. It means that people can use these places, that visitors and tourists can get there. And if you look at this map, you can see this is a map. You can see in 1959, not many people living there, but in 1984, becomes more and more house there. In 1997, you can see lots of building there. So it means that even it is the core area of the place, but the people live there, the number of population is expanding. Just house building there were expanding to the place. So even you can say this is the core area, but actually it will change. You can see, for example, in 1959, the people, not many people living there. 1984, 1997, you can, so many people live there. So the zoning policy for nature conservation is an important approach and the means used by the government to regulate human activities within the nature reserves. However, the zoning boundaries of nature protections often lag behind the production and living development of local residents. As a result, various conflicts inevitably arise between the zonal management of nature conservation areas and the sustainable livelihood of the local community. You can see actually like this. In China, we can see this is a mountain area, you can see. This is the border of the conservation area. The this are the pink color is for the people who live there, the living of the people. Because after the expanding, more and more people actually living in the middle of the conservation place. You may ask why this happened? Because normally, when we use the zoning policy, maybe it's on the top of the mountain or the middle of the mountain is the core area, but in the bottom of the mountain, maybe it's a buffer zone or experimental area. But because of population expanding, so more and more people have to move their place from a regional hometown to some other place close to the nature conservation area. So right now, the Chinese government try to very strictly control the nature conservation place. Nobody can use the natural resources of the national parks and nature reserves. So it becomes complicated. The people want to use the land, but the government say this is a nature reserve area. You cannot use it. So in this way, tourism becomes one of the most important option for them to make a living. But even with development tourism, we still need the land, need the resources from the nature reserve. For decades, more and more people have to find some solution to development tourism. So first, I want to introduce a case study from which was undertaken about 10 years ago in Guangdong province called Nankun Mountain. Nankun Mountain is around here in South China is nature reserve place and also a national forest park. It's close to Guangzhou and Shenzhen. It's originally in 1990s. There are not many tourism there, but there is a professor. Actually, it's a retired professor. He wanted to business of hunting, so he built this building for the hunters to live there, to stay there for 1 or 2 nights. But unfortunately, the business of hunting in this mountain is not so good because not many people are really like hunting, because at that time hunting is not really wild animals hunting, just the owner of this mountain area where put some hens and even some animals there, let the tourists to hunt these kind of animals. So because of the unsuccessful this business, the man just gave up this business. But he find that the small house becomes popular for the hunters because a lot of people who hunting here would like to stay in this kind of house. They have a 10 bedroom and guest houses for the tourists. Because it's early 1990s, we don't have much tourists in this mountain area because its accessibility is not so good. So people have to drive them more around 4 hours to Guangzhou to the border of the mountain, and then maybe more than half an hour walk by feet to this the house. But even the accessibility is not so good. The owner of the house found that there are still a lot of people would like to stay in this house because these kind of people say this is a kind of European style wild place. They want to enjoy the nature. So at that time, the mass tourist in China has not been booming. Just some few people would like to see this kind of places. So the owner of this house found it's a good business of a chance. So in this way, he want to expand his house into a kind of villa, kind of lodge for tourists. After this business, he newly built three of this kind of this house, three of them, and after that, so you can see this is the three house of them. After that, so more and more local people, local community recognized it's a new business because the people live around this place. They find that even our hometown is remote and far away from the city, but it will still have a business opportunity only if we renovate our house like this, kind of European style with wooden structure and open to the wild environment, easy access to the forest. So people recognize this is kind of new model of hospitality chance for the tourist. And you can see more and more people do like this. So this is the house with wooden windows, and also the bathroom is very clean, and there is a small pool, and even have a boat there. Tourists can enjoy the boat in the small pool. And because of this, more and more people is recognize it's kind of new business model. So there are a lot of new investors from the outside come to this area to build some new hotels and lodgings like this. But mostly it's local people. The local community recognize this is a good business. So they renovate the house. You can see the house uh, just imitate the model of the Alpa Vina. That's the original uh, business model. So the people would do this business that try to catering the tourist with the local vegetables, and also the house structure, the style, just like this. And because of this, um, more and more people recognize the business. In 2002, uh, a real estate businessman come to there and recognize that it's kind of business model. So try to build a new luxury hotels in 2006, called the Crosswater Ecology and Spa. This hotel like this. Okay, this is a new hotels like this. The hotel looks very the exterior looking of the hotel is humble, but actually in the side is luxuries like this. At that time, this is the most luxury hotel in the city around Guangzhou. In 2007, the price of the hotel every night there is more than 2,000 yuan. It's in 2006, but at that time, a five-star hotel in the Guangzhou city, the price just around 800. So this becomes a very popular business model. Everybody think that the people who live in the wild place is a good business model. So more and more people want to build hotels around this area. You can see this is the map why I I used it. I make it. You can see in every year, you can in 1999, in 2001, 2002, you can see most of the hotels were gathering together in the one places, in the one village. This kind of gathering because of the zoning policy. You can say because of zoning policy reason, only here it's allowed to build hotels and hospitality villages. So you can say more and more hotels gathered here, and most of them are luxury than another. You can say not of them like this, but the style is similar. It's kind of open to wildlife with wood structure and in the middle of forest. And also the most of the target market is family for the family. So in this case, we can say because the first one is the pioneer. They found the model of business, they found the opportunity of business, and then the local people around this place or to learn from them to imitate this kind of business model. And because of competition, more and more people just upgrade this kind of business model, more and more luxuries. But because of zoning policy, they can only concentrate it in one place. So the knowledge transfer or spill over between the people to people to only in the region, just focused on one specific area. So in this way, we can find that because of zoning policy, the people can only live in the one place, and because of they have to learn from each other, imitate from each other to build their hotels, and then because of competition, to upgrade their hotel. So finally, the more and more luxury hotels are concentrated in these areas. So it will upgrade the whole destination to another kind of tourist destination. The local community are, are linked or connected by this kind of business model. So this is my first case to show that because of zoning policy, make the people who live in the border of heritage sites have to connect it together to share the knowledge and to upgrade their tourist firms in the different time, different stage. And there is another case by in Guangdong Dansha, which in the North Canton province. You can see this is the green color is buffer zone. The pink is the core area of the Dansha mountain, and the yellow color is experimental area. It means that the people can live there, they can develop tourism. But actually, the challenge is that because of the history region, even in the core area, in the yellow area, according to the law, no tourism, no human activity can happen in this area. But 20 years ago or 40 years ago, there are already people who live there. So it's kind of complicated. We already have people live there. They are farming in this mountain area. They make a living on this land. But it's not allowed to development tourism. So it's a challenge for them to improve their quality of life because they cannot do any modern way of livelihood, can only farming there. But the people outside this area, for example, in the gate, at the gate of the mountain, they can do a lot of business to catch tourists to become much more rich. So the people who are living in the mountain are very poor. So in that case, they're trying to find a solution to help the people to improve their quality of life. So in the last 3 years, the study tour becomes popular in China. The study tour is that students go into the mountain area or World Heritage Sites to learn the knowledge about the uh, ecological system, about the value of World Heritage Sites. But the study tour is quite different with our mass tourist because normally the mass tourists go directly to uh, the attractions which is most popular in the website. For example, to see the sunset or sunrising, to climb on top of the mountain, to see the temple, or even to take photos in the most splendid landscape in the Danshan Mountain. But for the study tour tourists, most of them are primary school students or high school students, and even some young people. They just try to to follow the guide or the teacher to learn about the knowledge of the ecosystem or the daily life of the local people. But at that time, the local people recognized that the daily life, the normal life, the traditional way of making a living is very attractive for this kind of students. For example, the Lulu traditional cuisine course is very popular for the students. And also the handicraft making is also very popular for the tourists, for the students. So in this way, even for the farmers, even for the traditional way of making people, for example, the herb collecting, the people like do this. This is the farmers, and some people like do this. It's interesting for the tourists, for the students. So, so the people who live there, they found that there are business opportunity for them because they can invite students to stay in the home, and the farmers will show students about the vegetables, the traditional cuisine making, and also the intangible heritage or the handicraft making. The farmers can teach the students to do what the kind of things without any special education background. They can do this because normally, if you want to be a tour guide, you have to get a certificate of tour guide. But for this kind of primary school students who stay in the house of the uh, farmers, the farmer can teach the students about the daily life, about the traditional cuisine. The no need for them to have a certificate to improve their qualification. In this way, the farmers think that, wow, this is good business. We can be some kind of tour guide or so-called study tour mentor or study tour supervisor. In this way, they just tell their primary school teachers, you just bring your students to my home. I will show him around my house. I will teach them how to differentiate the animals, differentiate these kind of different vegetables, and even will tell them how to organize the two like you can see this like animals and the birds, tell them how different the birds, and also how to tell them how to know the value of the flowers and also the beekeeping. Not a bee and the honey of the bee, how to collect the honey. It becomes part of the courses for the farmers. So in this way, the local farmers recognize their value for the students, recognize that they can make a living depend on the study tour, not just the, the farming. So in this way, these farmers start to learn from tour guide and also to try to ask for the professors and experts who they can access in the Danshan mountain to tell them, ask professors to tell them how to introduce their vegetables, the traditional cuisines, their traditional handicrafts to the students. So they can begin to learn from each other. And also there is a WeChat group. So local people will have different kind of group. So in the group, all of them just share the knowledge about Danshan Mountain. For example, this group is about the town. So the town, okay, somebody will say, oh, there is a pig here. And because there is a flower booming here. So they will share the information and then they will share the knowledge about what this is the flower, what is function of the flower, and what the function of these animals. How can we introduce this knowledge to the students? So there are different groups for them to share knowledge and help each other. So in this way, the local people are linked together because of knowledge sharing, and the different people have a different advantage of the knowledge. In this way, the people becomes different groups doing different business. For example, some of the local people just teach students to recognize, differentiate the plants. Some of them just have to just plant trees. Some of them just sow them around the caves like this. So in this way, the different students and different farmers get collected. And in this way, the farmers can earn 200 yuan per day per person. For example, if one student stay in my home, I charge students 200 yuan per day, including the meal and the bed, and also including the show them around the home to be kind of a tour guide. So this is a new business model for the uh, farmers. As I just told now, because of zoning policy, this area is not accessible for mass tourists. But for these kind of students, for the research or education purpose, is kind of okay. So because it is marginally okay or not okay. But the people think that it's a good business, so they try to do this business. Even somebody criticized that it's illegal because this is the core area. Nobody can enter into the place. But the farmers will say, this is our farmland. I just show this to the young students. I just introduce them to the young generation. I'm not doing tourism. So on the one side, this kind of activity improve the quality of local people's livelihood. On the other side, it expand the human activity area of the zoning of the buffer zone or experimental zone. So it's a challenge for the nature conservation. You can see this kind of local people doing this kind of business. This is bee honey collecting. This is a herb collecting, like this for the tourist. And because of this business, UNESCO recognized that it's a good business model because it is a best way to help local people use their traditional knowledge to get a new livelihood model. It helps the local people to better use of their traditional knowledge. So this is so-called successful case in Danshan Mountain. So local indigenous knowledge gradually gains its rightful places and influence within the authoritative knowledge system. And because of these cases, I found we should do something to address the problems. Our team, made an attempt to call the Panda Ambassador Project in Giant Panda National Park. In this national park, I do similar business model to help local people to improve their livelihood sustainability. Probably most of you know about the panda. So this is the giant panda habitat. This is a World Heritage Site. Because of the conservation of the panda, a lot of places are in the core area according to zoning policy. Because here is 30% of the world endangered giant panda are survived here. So I organized kind of study tour to this place. I want to organize students to help local people to do the study tour business. So first, I call for participants from all over the world. Every year, we invite more than 30 students from all over the world, and I show them around this area. I let them understand the value of the nature. For them, for example, we invited them to see the galaxies at midnight. We asked them to walk into the nature reserve to know the panda living places. We'll let them understand the value of a panda and let them have an in-depth experience of nature environment. And then we ask the students to teach the local people how to use this kind of special value of the environment, help the local people to use their traditional knowledge, such as, this is the traditional handmaking. You can see I just to practice this kind of handicrafts. And then we ask students to help the local people to sell these products or handicrafts online. Because normally this kind of old people cannot speak Mandarin Chinese. This is in Jiuzhaigou. Their son and their daughter are doing the business of tourism, but because they cannot speak Mandarin Chinese, they cannot do business. But we'll tell them how to use their knowledge of weaving, of their cloth weaving as a tourist product to teach the students as a kind of study tour courses. So in this way, it's a kind of product for the students. And also we teach local people to how to use the beekeeping as a tourism product. And also we teach them, invited the panda abandoners escort to introduce what the knowledge about the living habit of the just kind of panda, and how to recognize the footprint of the panda, how to recognize the flavor of the panda. In this way, make it a study tour much more attractive. And this kind of model, we let our students experience the nature and environment, and then I let our students to teach the local people to doing the business of study tour. Let local people to understand their traditional knowledge could be valuable for the study tour students, and tell the local people how to introduce their traditional knowledge, how to use the traditional knowledge as um, a study core course for the students. And even we do some local traditional cuisine for the students. This kind of experience is very special for the students, and the local people recognize that even I cannot run a hotel, I cannot run a restaurant, but I can just show my traditional cuisine in my home to students. I can earn money, and also it could be part of the courses. And also we train the local people to how to do this in the mass hour of colleagues and local analysts to do this business model. And also we will organize some kind of courses for the local students to let local students understand the value of the surrounding environment, because they are living in the Panda National Park. A lot of forest area, they cannot use the resources of this kind of forest. So we'll tell them why you cannot cannot hunt, cannot cut the timber. You cannot if you cannot do some other business, you can just own maybe some kind of study tour business. And also I will try to organize some training courses for the managers of the local or administration of the nature reserve. In this way, we let them know how to organize study tour. You can see we train the students of local people to draw in the picture, to show the love of the panda, and we even publish these kind of photos in the media, and then make the local people be proud of their hometown. In the past 3 years or 4 years, we totally organized more than 500 people to be kind of we call the panda ambassador or the trainees of this kind of courses. And more people are benefited from this kind of practice. And the local people recognize that it's a kind of a good business model to use the traditional knowledge as a study tour course. In this way, they can earn money from new tourism. That's study tour tourism. In this kind of tourism, the impact on the heritage or on the nature is limited, because the scale of the tourist is limited, and also the students, the behavior of learning in the nature area is very well controlled, because they're organized by the teacher, organized by the school. The behavior is eco-friendly. And because of the case, I recognize that to protect the traditional livelihood is the best way to conserve the natural heritage sites. And the option is to develop a kind of study tour tourism or small scale tourism to help the local people get benefit from this kind of business. Even he's not good at doing the traditional tourism business such as hotel and restaurant. So in this case, so I try to put into my idea in the World Economic Forum and write it into this book to tell the people all over the world or try to help the local people by encouraging the usage of the traditional knowledge. Okay, so this is my sharing about these cases, how to encourage the local people to use their traditional knowledge, sharing their local knowledge, and make this tourism concentrated in a small area and to improve their life quality. So I don't know I have made myself understood or not, but any question is welcome and we can explain further. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Zhang. So now let's wait a little bit for our audience to ask questions. I think you provide a really interesting perspective how we can rethinking about protected area zoning policy and also how that connect to community and its heritage in tourism development. Okay, any questions you want to ask live, you can raise up your hand and you can also write in the chat box. Okay, Valia Sensei. Okay, I will allow you to talk.
Thank you, Professor Zhang, for this very interesting presentation and also providing examples of how UNESCO heritage sites can engage with communities. This is one of the biggest issues with UNESCO heritage sites. How do you increase tourism without impacting in an adverse way the community life? Could you speak a little bit more about the students? Who are the students? Are they university students? I assume they are local students. What is the scheme? Is there a program in engaging them? Can you elaborate a little bit more? I'm really curious to see how you engage them in such a meaningful way in these communities.
Okay, so there are three kind of students. The first cohort students, which I call the Panda Ambassador. This is volunteers I call for from all over the world. Most of them are Chinese students or some students are study abroad. Every year, organize 30 of them organize students to the Panda Ambassador National Park. I first to train them or to help them understand what is a real wildlife experience, what is a special kind of study tour, a kind of a creative experience in the wild place. And then we ask them to train the local people. This is the first cohort of students. The second cohort of students is local people, it's primary school students. They are not tourists, and also they are not panda ambassadors, and they are not involved in the business. We just train them to let them know the value of their hometown, and let them know the value of the surrounding areas. And also, we want these primary school students to influence their parents because the children will tell the parents the value of their hometown, the value of their surrounding environment, and also it's related with the second cohort of students. The third cohort of students is tourist or work study tour tourist, because according to the policy of Ministry of Education, all the students in the primary school or high school have to be educated in the nature area. So every year, every semester, is a compulsory courses for the primary school students and high school students, even for the university students. So the university or the high school or the primary school teachers will organize them go to the World Heritage Sites or the nature reserve places to take a tour. So before that, the farmers have no experience to accommodate these kind of students. It's the business of a travel agency. Local people have nothing to do with this business because the local people are living in the core area of the nature reserve, or even they are living in the buffer zone or experiment zone, but because they have no experience of catering the tourist. But right now, they recognize that even my Mandarin Chinese is not so good, but my traditional way of life itself is a kind of product for the students who are living in the cities, who are living in the urban area, especially in the big cities. So in this way, the local farmers recognize the value of their life, the value of their traditional knowledge, and also they can earn money from this kind of a way to make a living. In this way, we can balance the niche conservation and the tourism and the community's livelihood. So this is my response. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. It's a great example of intergenerational knowledge, isn't it? If I may ask one last question, who coordinates all these activities with different groups of students and ambassadors?
Sorry, what's the correlate?
Who coordinates? Is there a coordinating authority that
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. So because it's me as the organizer, the Panda Ambassador project is organized by me. Originally, the first 3 years is support by the UNESCO. And then after that, I myself become the organizer without the fund support from the UNESCO. And also because after 4 years of support, right now, this project becomes more and more consolidated. We can do it without our support. The local administration, the local people can do this business themselves. So according to my plan, maybe after 5 years, all the business were done by the local people to organize this kind of project themselves. So this is the coordinated process.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Walia. Any other people has question to ask? Yeah, if no, I will ask one question for sure. So Dr. Zhang, so in your institute, how do you decide for example, your PhD student to allow them to do what kind of field work under the tourism management or community heritage, this kind of topic? I would like to know a little bit more about that part.
Yeah, for our side, it's depend on your supervisor. if the supervisor have the kind of project or resources, or you have a personal link with this kind of place, you can do under the support of your supervisor. Otherwise, you have to find your own link with the desolation or the heritage sites like this. So normally, university do not have any special policy to regulate your specific topic or specific cases. So university just ask you to be ethically uh, mm, aesthetically good, and also you are follow the um, discipline rules. For example, if you are in the discipline of management, you are discipline of sociology, different
Mm,
discipline have different way of present your dissertation. So it depends on these rules, but mostly depends on the supervisor.
okay, thank you. Have a one follow-up, another one. Yuren, so I will allow you to talk first. I will ask later. Thank you.
Okay. Hello. Oh, teacher.
No.
I have a question that in the first case, were all the people building houses from outside the community, outsider?
Yeah.
As more and more house get built, are there any legal or regularity issue that's come up?
Yeah. So it's uh for example, in 1990s, this kind of a house expanding, you can see there's no policy to control this. But in after 2006 or 7 like that, so the policy becomes more and more strict. So the original illegal houses has already demolished.
Yeah.
And after 2010, the more and more strict policy. We do have some people or some investment want do some build some new houses in the illegal places, but it becomes hard, or it becomes impossible, and that's why more and more hotels have to be concentrated in one area, one place, because of zoning policy. If you build some place else, it's illegal. Only here is legally to do this. And that's why most of the place around in the heritage sites, there is a big cluster of hotel. This is the reason, because of zoning policy and because of strict policy of this nature conservation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can I continue my questions? My second question will be you use the term heritage dependent community. I'm very interested with this concept. So could you provide more kind of a characteristic how we define heritage dependent community? For example, not by doing non-mass tourism, keep it like a small scale and more local engaged or something like that.
For example, if you are living in the core area of the heritage, actually all your livelihood, lively resources are dependent on this heritage, because the farmland actually is part of the heritage sites. And also, if you live in the outside of the heritage sites, your livelihood may be not totally dependent on the heritage, maybe partially depend on heritage site. For example, I live in the outside of the heritage site, but it's in the border of them. But actually, I can do some other business or even I can build some big houses like this. Yeah, I can plant any other kind of plants or like this, so it's okay. But if you are in the core area, actually you have no option. So this I called completely dependent on the heritage size and partially dependent on the heritage size that I differentiate like based on this.
I see. Yeah, there are similar issues in Japan as well. In some area, if it's a national park, they have a totally different policy compared with the local management policy. Yeah, I'm very interested. Thank you. So is there anybody have more questions? If no more questions, we will finish today's session. Okay, if no more questions, shall we end tonight's session? There is one more. Okay, that's allowed. 高鑫.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Professor Zhang. Thank you so much for your thank you very much for your sharing. And I also have a question about the project you mentioned. I'm curious about how to start the project you mentioned. And actually, if we start the project, it's hard for us to go ahead, just because the economic or the other situations. So, how to solve the problems you meet about it when you start the first step of your project? Thank you.
Okay. Actually, to be frank, to start this project originally is not my idea. It's because UNESCO want to do something. So they consult me. Do you have any suggestion for us to do something to help local people? So I just finished wonderful research in Danshan Mountain. I found that local people could be benefited from their study tour. So I suggested then, why not initiate a project called Panda Ambassador to train the local people to do this business like this. So it's UNESCO asked me to suggest something. I suggest them based on my research. And then UNESCO say, I will give you financial support for you for 2 or 3 years. You can train some students. So in the first year, I organized 30 students. All the cost, travel costs, accommodation, the costs are supported by UNESCO. And then the second year, UNESCO only support for their local accommodation and food and the local transportation, but their long-haul transportation paid by the students themselves. And the third year, we just pay the local accommodation and the local transportation to pay the food themselves. So step by step, we recognize that it's attractive for the students. Even we do not cover anything for them, they're still interested for this. Because students themselves can learn a lot from this process. And also they recognize their own value because they can help the local people. And also because it's endorsed by the UNESCO. And also we organize some professors, such as I and some distinguished professors in China, with the professors together to train them. Students think that this is a good opportunity to get connected with the professors and the universities. So this is the initial stage. But from last year on, there aren't any support from UNESCO. So I found the support from the local delegation, local government. I asked them to support us for the students for the accommodation and let them the free entries to their Jiuzhaigou, Huanglong, and Wolong, this kind of space. So it becomes interesting for students. And this year will be organized in August. We also get support from the local administration for their accommodation and the local transportation. And for the students, they can get very special experience in their site. This kind of experience cannot be get if you are just a mass tourist. For them, the experience is very valuable. So in this way, make this project much more influential. More and more people want to do this. And more and more do this, okay, they have to looking for the local people to do the business. We do not do the business. We just train the university students and make this product become popular and attractive. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, is there any other quick questions? Okay, so I think we can close tonight's session. And thank you, Dr. Zhang, and thanks our audience and your questions. It's really it's really rare we can find such good case study from China, because we invite a lot of people talk about Japan. And yeah, I wish we can continue our dialogue. And Professor Yamamura also sending his regard to you. Okay,
Okay,
so I'll stop the recording.